So you said you studied all religions, yet you cleave within Christianity. That is your right. That is your right as a man. But when you start saying that you are not right because I feel a certain type of way, that's a narcissistic way of thinking, because you don't see the results that fit you. And you should be open enough to have a space where, okay, these are my opinions without me castrating or castigating men because they don't live my journey. And that's the problem that I have, that I get pushed back. I give pushback for passionately. So I beg to differ, sir.
So would you say that leaders are supposed to hold other men accountable?
At times, yes.
No, I would say at all times, because that's a
No,
part of leadership.
no,
Leadership.
because I can quantify what I just said, because not every man is under your leadership. So that's why I say some. Those that are
Yeah,
not
and I
under your leadership, that you can't hold them accountable for anything.
So what I'm saying is, though, as men on a panel and we're talking to each other, I am able to provide you uh, the definitions of a leader outside of which you would say that I'm saying from a Christian standpoint. If you read any book about leadership, a part of leadership is holding men accountable. And there is a standard and a structure. And as a man I'm 46, I've been married before. I lost a wife. I'm married again. I have kids. I'm a professor. I mean, I have a lot of different accolades that I can list to provide you how it is that I can say when someone is not, because when it's to say someone is not being a leader or someone is not being a man in the way that they should be honoring their community. So because when people speak, you speak from the position of what it is that you have learned or what it is that you believe. And so that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Right,
you're
but
in
you
your
also
right,
have
and I'm
to.
gonna keep it short. I'm gonna keep it short real quick. You're in your right with all the accolades that you're pointing out, but you're speaking of your journey. So your opinion is what you can give. You can't give a theory on how other men move through their journeys. You can be respectful of it. If you start imposing your will from your values, that means you're being narcissistic, and you devalue someone else's journey because they might not be where they need to be in it. So you don't have a right to do that.
Not only
and
Well,
you
that, in
can't and
order.
you and you can't judge. Matter of fact, we can play this game. I think that all bald head dudes with gray beards that talk out the side of their neck and say people are dysfunctional and that they're Satanists are very horrible men. I think they're very horrible people. I think they're judgmental. They sit up on perches, they point their fingers, and then they try and castigate people who have said nothing to them except live their life. And as far as accomplishments, most of the men on here, especially have well, I'm not even gonna list all my fucking accomplishments, but trust me, it's a lot. And I also got the familial accomplishment, and trust me, that's great. So this whole if you don't follow my thing, you're a Satanist and all this other shit. That is really it's like sneak dissing and slick jabs from somebody claiming to be a leader while not even having the ability to communicate effectively. And this whole "I'm gonna hold you accountable" thing is goofy as fuck to me, especially when we have no relationship. We don't. So one of the things about being able to hold somebody to some measure or standard, you build a relationship with them. You understand if they agree or they are trying to be on the path that you're trying to lead them on, and then you can provide input if they're requesting feedback or they have some type of trust of something for that. I don't got none of that for you. So these Satanist comments is blowing me, and it just in general, the disposition is off-putting. It's off-putting and it's disrespectful.
So
It's
just really quick, can we center the conversation? 'Cause I don't want it to get personal, because then we lose time and
Didn't
opportunity.
no
So
no
I,
no
wa- I,
really
wa- I
didn't
want y'all
didn't
to get I
when
want
you
y'all to
said
get it
your
off, but
calling
go
people
ahead, Wizzle.
Satanists, saying they living in dysfunction and all this
I
crazy
got that.
shit.
You got yours
Yeah,
off. I'm saying you got yours off. KP got his off. Can we recenter the conversation? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah,
well, let me
Chicago,
say.
Chicago, you're absolutely right. We need to center the conversation, but I think we do need to go on the record and correctly restate what Humble Dad said out of respect. I get what M. White is saying, but I do think, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, Humble Dad, I do think you You didn't say they were Satanists. I think you said that they would have, in order for them to take that ideology or embrace that type of behavior, they would have to associate themselves with the Satanist principles or whatever, but not necessarily calling them Satanists. But
I mean, my thing.
He also said,
hold on, but
what atheist framework did you study, Humble Dad? Where's this framework?
This is what I'm saying, fam. This is where we lose. This is what we lose.
Man,
this whole situation about to turn into about 30, 45 minutes of back and forth when this conversation is around premarital sex. So really? I know everybody want to get it in and clarify and correct records. We grown men up here. We grown men. We should just be able to have the conversation.
So look, it was yeah.
Wait, hold
on. But
let me
get in, bro. Goose, we did that.
We didn't.
How much? Look, how long are we gonna spend?
Look, here's Rilla. Let me jump in here because here's my thing. Right, we were backstage, and I was just on the same panel with the brother. But as soon as we got off, you throwing shots, and I felt I wanted to respond to it. My thing is this: nobody said.
Wait. Law, can we make this the last response on this? Can we make this the last response?
For me, I guess. I mean, I can't.
So now we're gonna
hold myself to what everybody else got to say. I'm just saying right now is like this, bro. It's certain things that if you are amongst men, you can't just deem yourself a leader and that you need to try and essentially hold somebody accountable. You got your accolades, like Marcus said. We're not on this panel because we don't have ours, right? I'm very successful in things that I do, and I've raised children to be adults through some of these things that a lot of us are out here. Theorizing. This isn't theory over here. This is actual results, experience. That's how you gain wisdom on some of these things that we're speaking about. I'm not just making it up as I go. So when you start throwing out those shots, it feels a little, disingenuous. But then one thing that I will say when we start talking about raising children, it is very different. It's one thing that I always say, and I say it very clearly. You train your sons not to be fuck niggas, and you train your daughters not to get caught by a fuck nigga. Plain and simple. Those are two things that you do. So you can say how you want about, this, that, and the other, and theoretically what you want to do. This is the way you train them to make sure they are respectful and operate with integrity, and that they also respect themselves to who they are and who you taught them to be. None of that
if we can't hold you accountable, we shouldn't expect you to hold women accountable.
My family and my results hold me accountable.
That's not what he's saying. Like, fellas,
we can't hold each other.
Hold on. Let's just let Darwin and Outlaw go back at it for a second.
If we can't hold each other accountable as men, none of us should be able to pick up a microphone and turn around and hold women accountable. We supposed to be leading. Because I think what this all boils down to, what I'm starting to understand is we don't have unified standards. We call ourselves a community. We call ourselves the same. We're like each other and they not like us, but we don't have a unified standard. We see the bigger issue is we don't see a problem with it. We don't see an issue with being divided on how we supposed to conduct ourselves as men.
Well, that's true.
And the crazy thing is the women are able to witness that we're okay with having divided standards. So can't you see how confusing that is for them to figure out which man is right for them if we're all coming into the field scattered?
So one thing that I'm
then we already know that they don't have the proper discernment. So us not having one unified standard even further clouds their ability to even get any inch or increment of any discernment to figure out who's right for them.
So one thing that I would say to rebut that, one thing I'm big on is consistency, right? I would rather my daughter find a man that is consistent throughout his thinking and his growth than one who has one mindset at one point and then flip-flops it to another, and now that's the only way. I'm very consistent. I'm the same person, and I continuously show that. As I always say, I tell them, do as I say and do as I do. You see what I'm doing?
Let me see if I can understand
under those stands. Yes.
So let me see if I can understand you. Basically, you saying you'd rather your daughter have a man who goes out and walk barefooted, and then the next week he figure out, I probably need to wear some shoes. You would rather her have a man that stays barefooted than the person to realize that his feet are hurting. He need to wear shoes. So he breaks his consistency. He makes an improvement. He gives you an indication that he's willing to grow. Just don't think too hard of it. Just look at it as a metaphor. The things we did yesterday that were wrong was brought to our attention today. So tomorrow we can be a better person. Are you telling us on the record that you don't want your daughter with that kind of man?
I'm saying I want my daughter with a man that is consistent, that's not flip-flopping and changing his mind as the wind blows. I didn't say anything about being barefoot. I didn't say anything about a man that was
It's
ever
a metaphor.
barefoot.
It's a metaphor.
And I'm using it as
But
a
I'll let somebody
metaphor
else go.
in return.
You want me to clarify?
Yeah, because I'm like, what about this topic do you necessarily disagree with, and what did that person say exactly?
So this particular topic, you stated that men should be following to be able to become a leader, right? The first statement that you said, a leader is a person that leads, which you cannot describe a word with the word, first of all. Secondly, there are actually, if you will, subtitles for what leaders are, right? And also there are people that are leaders that you can say these are the qualities in which we can identify them as a leader. One of those premises is that a leader has a plan, has a vision, has structure. A leader has something that they actually follow. And that's in any religion that you look at, whether you're atheist, whether you're Hindu, whether you're Buddhist, whatever, because I've studied all the religions. All of them have a structure in which it is that they align with. And I'm saying the men on the panel seem to have created their own guideline of what it is that they're going to follow. And that is the why there is a dysfunction in their answers.
But
Okay,
what
I'm
was the
glad
dysfunction in their answers?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the dysfunction in the answer is if we go back to the last topic when it says that I'm gonna teach my son to be impure, but I want my daughters to be pure. Like there is nothing that they can hang that on other than their own moral compass. They cannot say that that's from Buddha. They cannot say that's from Allah. They can't say that's from Jesus. They can't say that that's from any other God unless they connect themselves with the only way they can do that is if they connect themselves with a Satanist. But as it relates to any religion that connects themselves to a higher power such as God, doesn't align, is what I'm saying. And so there's a dysfunction, is what I'm saying.
I could sympathize with that.
I can't because now it went from general to being specific as for pointing to dudes in the panel. So that means you speak from an elitist position like you have all the answers, which are not true. Then I listened to the bullet points of how you break down as for men being prophets in their own land. So that's basically an assumption. So if you knew the resume of people for how they come to the way of thoughts, you might have a better understanding rather than taking leaps of faith off of your own understanding without doing your due diligence. That's a discredit to what we're trying to do up here. So when you point to people on the panel, you may be successful as for your journey, but you can't measure someone else's journey by your standards. And I think that is being a bad actor within this conversation because everyone walks a different path.